We would like to show our respect and acknowledge the traditional custodians of the land, of elders past, present and emerging on which this recording takes place.
Hello.
Hello.
It's been a very long time.
It has been a long time.
I think it's been 2 houses worth of a long time.
No, we recorded it.
Did we record at the last place?
A little
Okay. We just moved house about 6 months ago.
And then, so it was bushfires.
Yeah.
Then we moved house.
And then we went
to Japan, and then COVID happened while we were in Japan because we woke up there and stuff was closed all of a
I
sudden.
couldn't go to Disneyland. It was the worst thing ever.
Yeah, and I didn't get to go to university.
And I wanted to go home. I wanted to throw the towel in and go home.
You did.
I did, but we didn't. We stayed.
We stayed. We still had a good time.
We did.
We just have to go back.
We do. Now we have an excuse to go back.
Yes.
But yeah.
I'm
And
Scout.
I'm Frank.
What is this show? What do we do?
Dark
And creepy.
things with
Yay. Frank.
and
Scout.
yay.
Yay.
Okay.
It's been so long.
I don't remember how to do this.
Pretty sure we have 2 patrons still
Okay.
that's hung in there with us.
Thank you.
Your mum, because she probably doesn't know how to stop being up.
Thanks, Mum.
and Sharon, I'm pretty sure. Maybe I need to check.
Yeah.
Pretty sure.
Well, for those of you who have stuck around and are still here, thank you.
Thank you. I know we released our most recent one on New Year's Day this year.
Oh, really?
Yeah. But yeah, we've both been still busy and fortunate enough to still be working.
Oh,
through
yeah.
COVID.
Yeah.
Just super busy.
Yeah.
So apologies.
Yeah.
We do have episodes ideas lined up at least.
Yes.
Plus I'd like to do a couple of live episodes where you can actually see us as well.
Yeah.
That'd be fun.
What's it called? Watch This Space. Watch This Space.
Definitely watch this space. And also if you're into watching films, I've started like a film channel on Twitch where we just hang out on a Friday night and watch films because we really miss going to the cinemas.
Oh my god. Out of all the things I miss going to the movies.
Yeah. It's like my safe spot. It's I feel safe and yeah. But yeah, if you're into that, you should go to twitch.tv. It's /film scout.
Yes, that's the one.
That's the one. Yeah, we watch films. Had some classics recently. But into dark and creepy things.
It's my turn.
It's Friend's turn.
And we're going back to creepy babies again.
What?
Because I like creepy babies. So the only trouble was with these articles that I've chosen, they're quite short. So I've got 2 articles on Wikipedia and I'm supplementing it with 1 news article that I found.
Okay.
Which they're all kind of related, but they're all fucking terrifying.
Alright, so to remind people about what we do, we don't research, really. We just find things that are like interesting and we mark them to read to each other. That's how this started. 32 episodes later, that's what we do. We don't research into it, so don't comment, Sharon, and say, this isn't research.
You don't know what you're talking about.
Yeah, We don't.
We don't know what we're talking about.
We pretty much just try to find articles that creep each other out.
And so far, I think I am still very proud of finding stone babies because Scout will still ask me, what if I have a stone baby? And I'm like, how would that even be possible for you?
It's not possible, but stone babies are made of nightmares.
Nightmares and sadness.
Yeah, they're not cool. Did any of mine ever freak you out?
Not like stone babies freaked you out.
Oh, bullshit. You were freaked out by Johnny Gosh a little bit.
I was intrigued. I would never say... The thing is, right, serial killers and weird... Johnny Gosh is weird, though.
Yeah, that's what I mean. That's not a serial killer.
No, but like...
All that we're missing.
That was weird, actually. I will. Yeah. I will pay that.
And the part that even freaked me out, just the tiny bit, the part where the mum swears that he turned up as a teenager.
Yeah, adult.
On the doorstep and then went again.
And then, why did you let him go?
What are you doing?
We should do an episode for like our 50th of what's it called? The best of Franken-Scout.
Yeah, for sure. Best of dark and creepy things. And writing podcasts.
Yes. Anyway, so
I just want to remind people that we don't research these. I actually have, right now, I still have, besides being a creepy baby thing, that's all I've been told by Frank about this episode.
And all the other episodes we've ever had, none of us have ever known what each other have got.
We've never been telling.
So these reactions are, what's it called? Authentic and genuine.
Yes. Alright, Piper looks pretty pissed off that we're talking.
Shut up, Piper.
Don't say that to our child.
You don't like him.
That's rubbish. I do like him. I just don't like when he flicks his shit everywhere. If those who don't realise, I've just realised it could sound like a human child.
This is one of our
don't like him.
This is one of our cats. I was about to say, you know that human children do that too, right?
Flick their shit.
Yeah.
Well, they would not be in my good books for a day or so, that's for sure. To the point where I bought us a robo vacuum, and today I realised there was a smell. Check your robo vacuum if there is a smell of cat shit that you can't find. Frank very kindly pulled it apart and cleaned out the cat shit from Piper. Stuck.
There was dried cat poop in the rotor.
Jesus Christ. Thank you for cleaning up your son's shit.
He's your son too!
From my robo vacuum.
It's your son too.
Mm-hmm. Look at him, he's looking at me.
Anyway, let's move on. So,
what have you got?
Two creepy baby things. So I'll give you context. The reason I found these, as I'm part of a Facebook group, and it's the funniest Facebook group, and you should all go on it. It's called Science Diagrams That Looks Like Shit Posts. And it's the funniest thing ever. And one of them, this person posted a textbook, an obstetrics textbook from 100 years ago. And the diagrams in the obstetrics textbook. And some of these diagrams are like horror movie worthy, and so I had to look up if they had a Wikipedia article associated with them. So 2 of them did. The other ones that I didn't look up were, I'm trying to think of other ones that they didn't look up. I can't remember, but these are the 2 that stuck in my brain.
Long pause,
sorry. Okay, so the first one is, so there's 2 small articles and then a newspaper article that I found.
You found a newspaper on your phone?
Yes.
Ooh.
Congenital amputation.
Oh yeah. Okay.
Congenital amputation is birth without a limb or limbs, or without part of a limb or limbs. It is known to be caused by blood clots forming in the fetus while in utero, and from amniotic band syndrome, which is fibrous bands of the amnion that constrict fetal limbs to such an extent that they fail to form or actually fall off due to missing blood supply.
Okay.
So to break that down a little bit, you have an amniotic sac that the baby goes in, and you have amniotic fluid. The baby floats around in the fluid when it's being grown, and you have these little bands that are in the amnion that have formed, and they wrap around the baby's limbs, so either the limbs don't form, or they get cut off.
It's like a tourniquet, really.
Yeah.
And literally rubber banding, limbs and shit.
Yeah, caused by your own body stuff.
Wow.
Yeah. And so one of the diagrams from this post that I saw was literally a baby that had stumps, arms and legs. I was like, what the fuck?
Wow.
Yeah, so it was a baby with stumpy arms and legs. It was bizarre.
Little stumpy.
But can you imagine that, giving birth and then there's a limb there as well that's not attached?
Yeah. Okay. Continue.
Congenital amputation can also occur due to maternal exposure to teratogens during pregnancy, which is, I think, they are things that cause cancer. Things that cause abnormalities of physiological development.
Okay.
So alcohol is one of them, but that probably wouldn't cause this. Alcohol is a teratogen because it causes issues with development.
Of course.
Yeah.
But, okay, yeah.
The exact cause of congenital amputation is unknown and can result from a number of causes. However, most cases show that the first 3 months in a pregnancy is when most birth defects occur, because that is when the organs of the fetus are beginning to form. One common cause is amniotic band syndrome, which occurs when the inner fetal membrane amnion ruptures without injury to the outer membrane, the chorion. So have you ever seen an egg? You have like outer membranes and inner membranes. Eggs don't look that
mean like
and a chicken egg. If you've ever seen a chicken egg,
yes,
right? Chicken eggs have chicken eggs have an amnion and a chorion, and they look quite simple, but they've actually got lots of membranes and layers, right? And humans have similar membranes and shit going on, right? Fibrous bands from the ruptured amnion float around in the amniotic fluid and can get entangled with the fetus, thus reducing blood supply to the developing limbs to such an extent that the limbs become strangulated. The tissues die and absorbed into the amniotic fluid. So they're absorbed. Damn, I was hoping they would give birth to like this, like arm. Just a floating arm.
Can you imagine?
Oh God, nah. A baby with congenital amputation can be missing a portion of a limb or an entire limb, which results in the complete absence of a limb beyond a certain point, where only a stump is left, known as a transverse deficiency or amelia. When a specific part is missing, it is referred to as a longitudinal deficiency. Finally, phocomelia occurs when only a mid portion of a limb is missing, for example, when the hands or feet are directly attached to the trunk of the body. So, like, here to here.
Oh, okay. For people.
Maybe it wraps around there. Yeah, it's hard because you can't see me, but like, imagine like you've got T-Rex. Imagine if you're pretending to be a T-Rex. That's what they're talking about.
And your hands are
close to your chest. Amnion ruptures can be caused by teratogenic drugs such as thalidomide.
Yes.
Which, have we spoken about thalidomide before?
I think we've mentioned
thalidomide babies.
I think we've mentioned it before.
And environmental chemicals, ionizing radiation such as atomic weapons, radioiodine and radiation therapy, infections, metabolic imbalance, and trauma.
Yeah.
It is the least common reason for amputation. But a study published by BMC Musculoskeletal Disorders found that 21.1 in 10,000 babies are born with a missing or deformed limb between 1981 and 2010 in the Netherlands.
Right.
So 21.1 in 10,000, that's not a big number, but it's not a small number either. It's... yeah. And CDC estimates that 4 in 10,000 babies are born in the United States with upper limb reductions and 2 in 10,000 with lower limb reductions. During certain points in history, an increase in congenital amputations has been documented. One example includes the thalidomide tragedy that occurred in the 60s, when pregnant mothers were given a tranquilizer that contained a harmful drug which produced an increase in children born without limbs. I might do thalidomide at a different episode, but basically it was
Sally babies.
Kinda. But basically it was a drug given to pregnant mothers to help with morning sickness, and it gave babies lots of congenital birth defects.
Yes,
lots of deformities.
Yeah, that'd be interesting.
Yeah, I'll do thalidomide another day. Babies, everyone. Human development is fucking weird. For most cases, the diagnosis of congenital amputation is not made until the infant is born. One procedure that is helpful in determining this condition in an infant is an ultrasound, and when the mother's abdomen can reveal the absence of a limb. However, since ultrasounds are routine, they may not pick up all the signs of some and of the more subtle birth defects. The most popular method of treatment for congenital amputation is to having the child be fit for prosthesis, which can lead to normal development so the muscles don't atrophy. If there is congenital amputation of the fingers, plastic surgery can be performed by using the big toe or second toes in place of the missing fingers of the hand. In rare cases of amniotic banding syndrome, if diagnosed in utero, fetal surgery may be considered to save a limb which is in danger of amputation. Fetal surgery weirds me out too.
I just have so much respect for surgeons in general, but surgeons like pediatric surgeons, oh my god. You're operating on such delicate parts anyway, but then they're almost microscopic because they're baby versions.
Yeah. And also as well, you got to remember that babies only have a small amount of cells compared to adult humans because they're smaller.
Exactly.
If you affect a baby's small amount of cells, that's going to be a bigger problem when they are adults because they would have grown in that time. Yeah.
It's amazing.
So, prevention. Studies suggest that prenatal care for mothers during their pregnancies can prevent congenital amputation. Knowing environmental and genetic risks is also important. Heavy exposure to chemicals, smoking, alcohol, poor diet, or engaging in any other teratogenic activities while pregnant can increase the risk of having a child born with congenital amputation. It's a long sentence. Folic acid is known to reduce birth defects.
Yes, I do remember my mother saying something about having all the folic acid.
Oh yeah. Folic acid is really important for preventing spina bifida. So that's why if you have bread is what's it called? Bread, like commercially made bread, is supplemented with folic acid, as is a lot of breakfast cereals for that very reason. Similar vein, we have iodized salt so that people get enough iodine in their diet. Otherwise, you won't get enough iodine and you get gout.
Yes. Yeah.
Anyway, so that's congenital amputation. It's fucking weird.
Wow.
So that's one article. I just remembered. I just remembered the one other thing that did creep me out is that I had from this textbook that I got these ideas from. Was that these people, when you give birth to the baby and then you have to give birth to the placenta, right? And the placenta is attached to the baby via the umbilical cord. Mm-hmm. And so it had a picture of someone pulling the placenta out via the umbilical cord.
It's not what you do.
No. The placenta comes out by itself.
The person giving birth still needs to push it.
Yes, it does. Yeah. But the placenta should come out by itself. It should have one last contraction, then the placenta should come out by itself.
There are cases where they get stuck, right?
Yeah, but no. Most modern medicine, if that's the case, they'll give you drugs to stop you from bleeding and they'll get it out by a C-section. It's too dangerous. Because remember, that placenta is attached to not only baby, but it's attached to mum too. So there's like a lot of vessels across the tube to connect mum bloodstream to baby bloodstream. And if you pull on that, not to mention the risk of infection, because like in this picture, this person had their hand like right up the cervix of the patient, and it was like, oh my god, the infection. Wow. Nah, do not put your hand up there if you can avoid it.
Just remember, it's not just mums who give.
My apologies. People with vaginas, do not stick your hand up someone's vagina if you can avoid it. So that's Article 1.
Okay.
That's Article 1.
What was that one called?
Congenital amputation.
Right, okay.
Next one, this one's smaller. It's called locked twins.
No. No.
You hate twins and you love twins.
I love twins. They're fascinating.
This is gonna ruin twins for you forever.
No?
No, it's not. Locked twins is a rare complication of multiple pregnancy when two fetuses become interlocked during presentation before birth.
Really?
It occurs roughly in 1 to 1,000 twin deliveries and 1 in 90,000 deliveries overall. Most often, locked twins are delivered by a C-section, given the condition is diagnosed early enough. The fetal mortality rate is high for the twin that presents first, over 50% being stillborn.
Wow.
Yeah. So, let me paint you a picture. So, let me read this description first. There are two types of locked twins, breech vertex and vertex vertex. So what that means is that babies are born head first most of the time. That's what you want. You want most of the time babies to be born head first. Then if they're not born, I think that's called vertex from what I can tell from this.
What?
Yeah, vertex position is born head first, right? The other position that's quite common, but you still don't want it, it's not very good, but people do give birth naturally quite often, is breech, which is you born feet first.
Yeah, my brother's was breech.
Yeah,
I think they turn him around though.
Yeah, they do try to turn baby around if they can when a baby is breeched, because one of the things that can happen is if baby gets too cold coming out, it can breathe inside the womb.
Really?
It can inhale amniotic fluid. Yeah, so that it can be, it's more dangerous than a vertex birth, but it's still very possible you can give birth naturally. So in these particular cases, with the locked twins, either both twins are born head first, or one twin is born head first and the other is the opposite way around and born feet first, right? breech vertex presentations, which are much more common, the first twin is in breech, presenting head first, and the second twin is in the vertex position, presenting in the normal head first manner. In these cases, the chin of the first twin locks behind the chin of the second twin while in the birth canal, preventing vaginal delivery.
No. They literally get locked.
They literally go head to head, and they're stuck.
Wow.
They're stuck
what do
there.
You do?
Well, that's why mortality rate is 50%.
Fuck.
Because especially in places that don't have good healthcare, there's not a lot you can do. In vertex presentation, so both going in heads, where twins are positioned for head first, the two heads become locked at the pelvic brin, preventing either fetus from passing through the pelvic inlet in vaginal delivery. So that's like both heads are trying to get out at the same time, and they both just get stuck there. So in this textbook, they had a diagram of the one twin coming out head first and one twin coming out feet first, and their heads are just stuck, locked together. I was just like, oh my God.
What the hell are you meant to do?
That's a thing? This is the one thing I'm terrified and fascinated about birth. It's like, what do you do if the baby gets stuck? What do you do? How do you get it out? Like, I've always wondered that.
If the baby gets stuck, they use suction and all that.
Yeah, there's
stuff.
like forceps, forceps and suction and stuff. They don't use forceps so much these days because it can cause really bad head trauma. Suction is better, but it's still not great. So contributing factors to the interlocking of twins includes urine hypotoxicity, a small fetal size, and reduced levels of amniotic fluid following rupture of the membranes. It is more likely to occur in women with large pelvises, young prima gravidae, which are young people with their first pregnancy, and pregnancies with monoamniotic twins. So monoamniotic twins meaning they share one amniotic sac. So if locked twins are diagnosed in early delivery before either twin is born, both fetuses can be delivered by C-section. If one fetus has been partially born, attempts can be made to disimpact the twins manually, such as the Zavanelli maneuver, with a view to performing the assisted delivery with ventouse, which is suction, or forceps. If diagnosis made only after the first locked twin has died in the birth canal or is not expected to survive, the first twin may be decapitated and its head pushed up to allow safe delivery of the second twin.
Oh, so it's not, it's one of those cases of sacrificing one for the other.
Well, the other one's, that first one's dead already.
Yeah.
But like, whoa. Imagine if you were giving birth to these two babies.
Ooh, you'd just be distraught.
Oh yeah, they probably, in modern medicine, they probably put you under to do something like that. Because that is beyond anything. Beyond a parent's worst nightmare.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But so, is there a chance they can save both?
Yeah. So the first, they can either deliver them by C-section if you find out early enough. They can move them around if they can move them around, and then deliver them both using forceps or suction. So you can, like that's what they said. That's why they said
50%.
It's 50%, not 100%.
Yeah.
So there is possibility of fixing the problem. It's just really hard.
Alright.
At least one case has been reported where hexaprenaline has used to relax the uterine smooth muscle and thereby temporarily inhibit labour to disimpact fetal heads.
Fetal heads.
Fetal heads.
It's like a good name for a band.
It is, isn't it?
Yeah,
fetal heads.
Fetal heads. Maybe we should change our Wi-Fi name to
fetal heads.
Fetal heads.
Our neighbours would be very weirded out.
They probably already are.
Since locked twins are often diagnosed in the late stages of delivery, it is often too late to intervene to save the life of the first. Thus for it is a high rate of stillbirth, estimated to be over 50%. So, those are the first two articles.
Okay.
So yeah, that diagram, I was watching and I'm like, oh my god, that's a thing? No. I can't believe that's a thing. Oh my god.
You have to, send me the picture.
Yeah.
So that I can post it with the...
Yeah, I'll try and find it. But like, holy shit. Okay, so, locked twins was a small article. It doesn't give you much of it doesn't have pictures or anything. So I looked up decapitated during labour. And there isn't a lot on that either. But there is an article from BBC News in Scotland about a woman who relives the day her baby was decapitated during birth.
What?
So this woman doesn't have twins. It was a normal pregnancy. And I'll read it, and you can.
Wait, all right. So I need the title. We need the title of this article. Who wrote it and the date?
Okay. So mother relives the day her baby was decapitated during birth, by Callum Watson from BBC Scotland News on the 26th of September 2018.
Wow. So it wasn't even long ago.
No, it wasn't long ago, and it was in fucking Scotland.
So it's
first world country.
Yeah, wow.
Developed country.
Yeah.
Okay, so I will preface this that this article is quite graphic.
Ooh, yes.
Which is awesome for us, but if you are feeling, at this point, if you're feeling about the whole birth thing, I would say turn off now, because it's going to get worse.
Or if you've got your creepy children.
Or if you're pregnant. Don't listen to this while you're pregnant, please. Don't freak yourself out even more. You've got a tiny human growing inside you.
Okay.
Be nice to yourself. All right. 4 years ago, a doctor's error led to Laura Ghazali's baby being decapitated during delivery. As part of a campaign to secure new legal rights for unborn children, she spoke to Kai Williams on BBC Radio Scotland morning programme. He was called Stephen. The name had already been...
Who was called Stephen?
The baby. The name had already been chosen when the birth of Laura Ghazali's baby went wrong in the worst way imaginable. In March 2014, when her waters broke, Laura was just over 25 weeks, which is very early.
Okay.
So normal gestation is 39.
Right, I always forget this.
Normal gestation is 39. So she's only 5 months in.
Okay.
Baby should be 9. So that's very early.
Yeah.
It's early, but the baby will survive with current medicine.
Yeah.
With how they'll be in an incubator for a bit, but baby would survive. But as medics at Dundee's Nine Wells Hospital helped her prepare for a premature birth, there was nothing to indicate the trauma that lay ahead. I was told my baby was okay, she said. They wanted to keep him in my belly for as long as possible because he was in the best possible place. And I was in the hospital, so I was in the best place. Laura was given an injection to help develop Stephen's lungs for an early birth and taken on a tour of the special care baby unit in readiness. 2 days later, when she felt a tightening around her stomach, she was moved to the labour suite as a precaution. It was nothing major, nothing to be concerned about, she said. The midwife seemed quite happy, the wee man's heartbeat was always fine, and there was no major cause for concern.
Wait, you have to read wee man, like, they're Scottish.
Oh, I can't do a Scottish accent. No, I'm not going to try. No, I'm not going to try. But following morning, she said she stood up after a trip to the toilet, her events took a fatal turn. The baby's umbilical cord had emerged from the womb.
What?
So she felt the umbilical cord come out. That's a thing. Prolapse cord.
Really?
And it can be a problem if you're delivering birth naturally and the cord's wrapped around the head. Like it's like the head's presenting and the cord's there too. You've got to try and slip the cord out from underneath.
That happened to the same brother that was breech, I think.
To your brother?
Yeah, he ended up being born with the cord around his neck. And they had to, to be in an incubator.
And you had to like slip it off. Yeah. Laura said I just started screaming, panicking and shouting, hitting the buzzer, and all these midwives came in. I was taken to the first available room, put on a bed, wheeled through the theatre and put on another bed. I heard something about being there only 2 to 3 centimetres. My son's heart rate had dipped, but it was there. So the 2 to 3 centimetres bit, when a baby is born, a person's cervix dilates to allow the baby to be born, right? Full dilation is 10 centimetres.
Right.
So you
dilation meaning like
open. So your cervix opens to allow baby to come out. So normally people will say don't start pushing until your cervix is dilated up to 10 centimetres. Yeah. So that's just because
you're not meant to push.
No, you're not meant to push. No. But then again, I'm not a midwife. Don't take this as medical advice. This is the stuff that I have learned from going to doing science at university, watching TV shows, reading articles, reading Wikipedia articles. So this is my personal research, but I'm not a midwife and I'm not a doctor. So don't take my word as medical advice, please.
Okay, doctor.
No, I have to say that because someone might sue me. It's true.
Don't sue Frank, they're just reading articles.
I'm just reading articles. I'm not a doctor.
I'm just interested in this stuff.
So, the cervix is only dilated 2 to 3 centimetres, which is very early labour. I was thinking to myself, you have to stay calm for your son. You're in the right place. All these people know what they're doing. Just trust them. Laura had been told a few days earlier that she was likely to have a cesarean section because a scan had shown Stephen was in the breech position, head up rather than facing the birth canal. So head up. Oh. So that's even worse, because what happens with natural birth, baby is head down and their spine is against your belly, the front of your belly, right? Which allows for a nice smooth labour. There's another way the baby's spine can be against your spine, which is what actually happened to a family member of mine. And when they gave birth, the spines jar against spines, so baby's spine jars against your spine, and it makes it very difficult to give birth. And so this case, it's not only is baby's spine against spine, but baby's around the wrong way too. Yes. So foot first, spine against spine.
Not making it
easy.
Baby Steve is not making it easy to come out there.
The doctor said push, and I'm thinking to myself, no, I'm not in labour. I don't feel like I need to push, Laura said. Remember, this patient's only 2 to 3 centimetres dilated. She should not be pushing yet. Push, we've got to get this baby out. And then followed several attempts of her doctor pulling at her son, trying to get him out, which caused me distress, which caused me pain. I crawled up the bed to get away from her. I was pulled back down the bed.
Jesus.
She was going, come on, we've got to get this baby out. And I kept saying to her...
Is this person even a doctor?
Yeah, this person was a doctor.
Christ.
And I was saying to her, I don't feel like I need to push. I kept saying to myself, this is wrong, something's not right. The neck of Laura's womb was only partially dilated, far less than the 10 centimetres that would have been expected during a normal birth. Attempts to deliver Stephen went on for another 20 to 25 minutes. What happened next will remain to Laura to her dying day. I felt a pop.
Jesus.
She pauses as she recalls that awful moment. Her first thought was a metal ring on her finger had somehow snapped. Like, that's how distinct the pop was.
Wow.
Laura said, I don't know why. I remember looking at my hand and my ring was still there. And I'm thinking to myself, well, what was that? And I felt nothing between my legs, so I thought I must have done it. I've done it. My son's here. But I didn't hear him crying. But I wasn't too worried about that because he was so small. And then the room went into absolute chaos. People were rushing about. There was a guy who tried to go out the room. I caught his gaze. He kind of stopped, turned back on himself, and then sort of continued what he was doing. The next word I heard was, right, push again. And I'm thinking, why am I pushing again? I've done it. I thought I'd done it. And then a couple of minutes later, and it's like, oh, you're going to be put to sleep.
Wow.
When she woke from her anaesthetic, Laura was in a side room. The nurse had told her that Stephen had died. Laura said, I remember completely losing it. I was distraught, and then I blacked out again. The result gynecologist who led the delivery, Dr. Vishnavi Laxman, visited Laura when she came around. Laura said she sat on the edge of my bed on the right-hand side, and she told me how sorry she was for what had happened.
Is that the one that told her to push? Fuck.
Yep, that's the one.
Fucking ripped her head off.
At that point, I didn't know exactly what had happened, so when she gave me her apology, I took her hand and told her that I forgave her because I had no idea what was going to be told later on. It was another doctor who gave Laura the terrible detail of what happened. Laura said she stood at the foot of my bed and she told me my son had been decapitated during childbirth. I said to her, I know, I felt it. There were more emotional pain to come. Laura was told her son's head was still within her body. Another doctor told her she would need to undergo a cesarean section in order to retrieve it. My son's head was still within my body, but his body was lying on the table, she said. Laura Gazzelli has never felt a mother's joy at cradling her son, but 4 years later, his memory lives on. After the operation, another doctor reattached her baby's head and allowed her to spend time with the body.
Oh, God.
Laura said, the next thing I thought was, I don't want to see him. Don't bring him here because I don't know what I was going to be looking at. But the doctor was really lovely. She said, it's all right. Her words were, I fixed him.
Oh.
That night, Stephen's body was brought to her room in a Moses basket. Laura said I couldn't hold him properly, but I was still able to look at him and kiss him and smell him. But it wasn't the same, and it's not the same as what should have been. A photographer from the charity Remember My Baby took black and white images of Stephen, which she has in an album. Weeks later, on his due date, Laura bought a blue teddy bear and had his cremated ashes placed inside. She said, just so I could have a cuddle, it's the next best thing. Earlier this year, a medical tribunal that ruled that Dr. Laxman's decision to attempt a vaginal delivery rather than a cesarean section was mistaken. It set in place of chains leading to the baby's decapitation. The hearing heard Dr. Laxman was nearing the end of a 24-hour split shift when she was called to attend. Another tribunal later ruled that she was fit to practice and could return to work, although she is no longer employed by the NHS Tayside. Alongside the medical profession's inquiry, there was a lengthy legal investigation and ended in another trauma for the grieving mother. Laura said the investigation took about 2.5 years.
Oh my God.
They came back and basically sat me in a room and told me that because my son didn't take a breath, he has no legal persona in Scotland. My son doesn't exist. I'm sitting and looking at them and I'm thinking to myself, that's bloody horrendous. You just looked me in the eye and told me my son does not exist. I've got a death certificate. I had to have a funeral. I've got all these pictures. I'm thinking to myself, that's not fair.
Ashes.
Yeah. The Crown Office decision means there can be no criminal action or fatal accident inquiry into Stephen's death. Laura has now begun a petition calling for a change in Scots law to give stillborn babies a legal identity. I'm just trying to get as many signatures as possible.
Alright.
So that's a lot of article to unpack.
Yeah.
But yeah, this poor, when I read the bit about a pop, I was like, what?
Yeah.
I was like, no way. That is worst nightmare.
Even the doctor's saying push.
And pulling at the baby? You don't pull at baby.
I know this doctor was really fucking tired and been working for 24 hours, but surely you know not to.
If this doctor
that would not be instinct,
right?
To pull at the baby.
If you've been practicing for a long time, you would think that mother's only 2 to 3 centimeters dilated. Don't pull on the baby when the patient's only 2 to 3 centimeters dilated.
Oh my God.
What the hell?
And then the fact that the baby had to actually take a breath.
I know, right? But then that brings a whole kettle of fish around when do you consider a baby a legal entity? When do you consider a person alive, right? Because that brings the whole pro-life, pro-choice argument into play.
I think they're alive once they bloody exit the womb.
They're not alive, but they're a living being. A being who once lived. Yeah. Because then it goes, at what point do we say that a baby is alive? You know what I mean? Like a human being with a legal persona.
Yeah, when they come out of the womb, I guess.
But I suppose that's so silly that a stillborn baby doesn't have a legal identity.
Yeah, they totally should, whether they took a breath or not. They're still a human being.
But also as well, why couldn't she sue on behalf of her own emotional trauma?
Exactly.
The thing is, the doctor probably couldn't be convicted of manslaughter or something because the baby doesn't have a legal persona. Malpractice. But yeah, they could totally be charged with malpractice, or the mother could sue for emotional damages.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I was like. And the fact that they were pulling her down the bed and telling her to push, and she's like, this doesn't feel right. And it's just a really good example of for her, she was unable to make that decision at the time. But if you come across a doctor who's saying something and that doesn't feel right to you, you are encouraged to get a second or a third opinion.
I can imagine that would have been probably not possible.
No.
I know people who, I've been friends with and stuff over the years. I remember one of my old friends telling me that with the birth of her twins, actually, it was a nightmare, absolute nightmare. She wasn't there for it. She was knocked out, wasn't told what was going on, and missed it all. Wasn't woken up and had babies that were born. And another friend I went to school with, I think she technically died during childbirth.
Yeah, shit.
And then it was, missed the first few weeks of her child's life because she was in a coma.
Oh my gosh.
Birth, you hear about childbirth being, it's so wonderful and happy.
Oh God.
Quite many people are actually no, and the doctors were awful and the nurses were awful, and I didn't know, I was fucking terrified to know what the fuck was going on.
Yeah.
Nobody tells you anything. And then,
childbirth.
And then you end up missing your child's birth or whatever. And
childbirth is both equally the most miraculous and the most terrifying thing that a human body can do, right? I am in awe of people who have had pregnancy and have had labour because, it's a magical and wonderful thing, but fuck, it's scary. fuck, it's scary.
Just because, so many things can go wrong.
Yeah. Human bodies are unpredictable. We're going to find things to go wrong in every aspect of it. It's terrifying. And it also highlights to me, as I've gotten older, realizing how important home birth actually is. When I was younger, I used to be like, no, home birth is ridiculous. Everyone should go have their baby in a hospital. It's safer, blah, blah, blah. And as I keep like reading all these horror stories and actually hearing that home birth these days is actually safer if you have an uncomplicated labour and an uncomplicated pregnancy.
Exactly, and that's if it's uncomplicated.
Yeah.
And again, I know people who have, had babies and it hasn't, it's gone, or they've planned to be home birth the whole time, and it's come up that actually it's not looking like it's going to happen.
Yeah.
It's just so disappointing for them.
Yeah.
But you got to do what you got to do to make sure everyone's safe.
Yeah. Birth should be, you should be able to have your own...
I think people should have more autonomy over their birth process.
Exactly. Yeah. And there are people like, I don't want drugs, and then they'll decide halfway through that they do want drugs.
Fine.
And that's totally fine.
No, shouldn't be fucking shamed for it.
No person should be shamed for how they decide to give birth.
It's a recent, I think it was a recent, I read the Am I the Arsehole Reddit threads on Twitter.
Oh, they're so good.
But I was reading one the other week or something. Who knows? Time and isolation is blended together. I don't know. Some point I was reading Am I the Arsehole? And this guy a fully grown man was mad at his son because his son doesn't want to be in the birthing suite with his wife, giving birth to their first child, because she would prefer to have her mother there. And he's like, that's cool. You're my wife. I respect you and your body. I'll do what you want me to do. Yeah. Apparently his dad cracked it and was like, no, you've got to man up. No, she shouldn't have her mother in there. You should be in there. It's your child. It's about to be born, blah, blah, blah. And then the son's just like, not silenced him, like not talking to him, not responding. And this guy's fully cracking it and done this, huge Am I the Arsehole post. Everyone's like, yes! Why, you are the arsehole. Because all kudos if somehow maybe not you, but your son has grown up to be a decent human. Yeah. And is respecting his wife, is totally cool with whatever she wants. Yeah. And giving her autonomy and not being like all macho and being like, oh, I'm the husband, this is my baby, I'm going to be in that room, blah, blah, blah. Yeah. He's literally like, you do what makes you comfortable, I'll be here and waiting. Yeah. Simple as that. And kudos to him. I don't know how he's come from the product of that baby child father who's like, no, you must be there. But that's so funny. You mustn't miss the birth of your child. You'll regret it later, blah, blah, blah. And he's just like, no, I'll regret not letting not giving my wife her wishes. And
her bodily autonomy.
Yes, it's her body. Yeah. If she does not want her husband in there.
She'd rather her mother. Yeah. Yeah. Because I've got to remember, a lot of people forget that when you have a baby, there are a lot of people in that room. It's not just you, a doctor and whoever's next. No. There's probably 3 or 4 nurses, a couple of doctors, there's you and your partner or your mother or whatever. You can't have lots of people in the birthing suite. Yeah. You can have one. Yeah. That's it. Exactly. Maybe 2 if you have a doula. But that's it.
So this guy's totally cool with it, but the father, on the other hand, that went up to make the Am I the Arsehole post. Yeah. That's you are you are the arsehole. I mean, and something about, the mother's reasoning was that, I don't know, she was best friends with her mum, but her mum's had 4 kids successfully.
Oh yeah, then she's the correct person to be in the room rather than a what's it called, clueless husband who's never had a kid.
Yeah, and the clueless husband's like, yeah, cool. Yeah. That's whatever you want, that's fine. Yeah. I get that. If you'd rather your very experienced mother with you. Yeah. To make sure everything's okay, because again, it's about having confidence in just in there with you, to fight for you.
That's why doulas exist.
To be a voice. If you do have to be knocked out, if you do go unconscious, if you can't advocate for yourself,
for whatever reason,
you need someone in that room to advocate for you, going, hold on, that's not right. And if that woman feels like having her mother there is that decision, then all kudos to her. I'm like, and the husband for being like, yep, that makes sense, let's do that. And then, unfortunately, he's got a dickhead macho father who's like, no, you are the man, you must be in there.
The reason I find that so bizarre. So one of my favourite shows that I love to watch over and over again is Call the Midwife. And back then, so Call the Midwife is about some midwives who were...
people know Call.
But I'm going to say 50s London, right? 50s London, East End, poverty-stricken in London, right? Back then in the 50s, the father was not allowed in the birthing suite.
Ever. Interesting, isn't it?
Ever.
When did that change?
Gradually. So,
yeah, but when? Like, when did it become like a thing that you would have the husband or
it would be from like the 60s. So what from because in the show men did start coming into the birthing suite. It wasn't common, but women did push for it, and it gradually became what was expected. But it's funny because back then no one else was allowed in the birthing suite other than the pregnant person and their mother. That's it.
And the midwife. And
the midwives, obviously. That was it. No men whatsoever, unless it's a doctor. Funny about that.
But they didn't always need a doctor.
No, they didn't. Back then, home birth was the way to go.
Oh, yeah, I know. I watch that show with you. Like, there's so many that are just having their babies on a bloody Huffington mattress on the floor.
Yeah.
Like, and they're fine.
Yeah. And that's the thing.
And it's only when something goes wrong. It's like,
they go, okay, we
need a doctor or we need to go get you to the hospital.
Ambulance or the maternity home is another option as well. Which maternity homes, I think, are a good thing because they're run by midwives. They're not run by doctors. But they don't exist anymore. Not here anyway, not in Australia. But yeah, back then, no men in the birthing suite. Whereas nowadays, it's expected.
Yeah.
It's so bizarre. Like, why? Like, no offense to people with penises out there, but I wouldn't want a person with a penis advocating for my health as a person with a vagina giving birth.
Well, it depends.
It depends. I mean, like, part of me is like, you will never experience this.
True.
Ever.
I think that, I don't know, there's some people whose, I don't know, guy partners are actually probably decent people and they would want them there as like even as a source of comfort.
Yeah, but I would expect if my partner was going to be in the birthing suite with me, they would be educated too. Because if, like you said, if I am unconscious and I can't advocate myself, I would want my partner who is in the birthing suite with me.
Would you want me in there?
If you knew what you were doing, if you knew my wishes, if I would
know your wishes.
If I would explicitly tell you beforehand, this is what I want. If shit goes wrong, this is what I want.
Well, isn't that why we got married in the first place?
Yeah, but this...
Because you know my wishes, and like, if this is what happens to me, turn off my machine.
Yeah. But there's some partners who have penises, male partners, don't know. They're clueless. Some of them are clueless, and some partners who have vaginas are clueless too.
That's true.
They
just don't have those relationships, though, where they tell each other these are my wishes and can trust that person to follow through with them.
Yeah, but I also expect my partner to know, like, what's expected of a birth and what it looks like when shit goes wrong. Because if my partner was there in the situation that this poor woman was in, I would expect my partner to go, no, this is not okay. What's going on?
Did that person in that article have a partner with her?
I don't think so, because she was taken into an operating suite.
Yeah.
And usually if you're taken into an operating suite that quickly, they don't let partners in.
True.
It's too difficult to get them sanitary and stuff and wash them and shit.
That's either way, but...
that too.
Yeah, there's no mention of her.
No, we can only assume that there wasn't anyone in there. But, like, yeah.
But even before she went into the operating theatre, it doesn't say anything about
it doesn't say anything. There is another article from that same case, from a different news a different news provider. But, I'd want my partner to turn around and go, no, this is not okay. What are you doing?
They can just kick that partner out of
I know that, but it's hard because when you go to a hospital, you put your trust into the doctors and the midwives that are there. And from what we can tell in this case, that's not always the very wisest of choices.
Exactly.
But what other choice did she have?
No.
This poor woman was put into an awful position.
Well, yeah, definitely, and that's like it says, like she's going to remember that till the day she dies.
Yeah.
And that sound, like, I can only speak from hearing my own bones break, but that's a sound I'll never forget.
Yeah.
So I can only imagine having, your baby's head pop inside you. You'd feel that.
I can imagine what that looks like too from the outside. Like, oh my God. And the chaos that ensued from that too. Like,
and just the bodily trauma. Like, I wonder if she went on to have another child or anything else there, because you'd be fucking traumatized.
Like, no, if I was her and I was having another baby, like, you would give me a C-section no matter what.
Yeah, but she probably would have to after having so much trauma down there. But C-section's a whole lot of risk as well.
Yeah, that is true. you want to avoid. I feel like some places they just give out C-sections like it's nobody's business, and same with epidurals as well.
But within that is risk and danger as well, because there's obviously different schools of thought around childbirth, and some are like, no, you want to do it naturally. C-section should only be there as an emergency backup, obviously. But then, because I remember another friend was like, no, I must have a C-section, and the doctor or birth team was like, no, we're going to try natural first. Yeah. Because there's no reason that you would need a C-section.
And that's the way it should be, and I feel like that's better here than it is in the States. C-sections, people use epidurals too much, in my opinion, because
I don't know, if you were in that situation to give birth, you'd probably want the epidural.
I'm probably sure that I would, but at the same time, people forget that an epidural is a spinal block.
Yeah.
The chances of you having complications because of an epidural is quite high, solely for the fact that they are giving you an injection to numb you from the waist down. That's quite a big thing.
Yeah, but
it's not small.
Understandable though.
It's definitely understandable. Childbirth fucking sucks. But it's not an easy. It's people just go, oh yeah, I'll have an epidural, it'll be fine. It's like, do you even understand what an epidural actually entails?
Yeah, but do they care? Like,
yeah, but
they just want it numb, shoot out the baby.
The complications of an epidural.
What are the complications?
You can be paralysed for life.
True. Okay, but besides that, like, they won't feel the baby coming out.
But that's also a problem too, because if you can't feel the baby coming out, you have to be told to push.
And you can't feel if the head pops off.
No, you can't. But you also have to be told to push.
I'm terrified of a baby. I'm knowing anyone who's going to give birth.
I'm like, oh yeah, the baby's head's going to pop off.
The baby's going to pop. The head's going to pop off, and then the head's going to stay in there and become a stone baby.
Possible.
Yeah.
Can you imagine if that happened in a developing country though, where they couldn't give her a C-section and the baby head did stay in there?
Stay in there. They'd be just like, oh, you'll push it out naturally.
Yeah. No, it'll atrophy, turn into a stone baby for the rest of your life.
And then you get all these health issues. That's wow. That poor woman. I hope she
gets some sort of legal. Resolution to this, because she won't, but I hope that she does.
I hope she's getting, counselling or something.
Yeah, but fuck me.
That would be bloody awful and so traumatic.
Oh, yeah. Anyway. But yeah.
That's very...
Trauma and childbirth, people. Yeah, so don't listen to these ones if you're going to have a baby in the near future. I mean, there is good things and bad things about being educated in terms of childbirth and knowing what can go wrong. There's good things in I know what can go wrong. I know what I will do if things do go wrong. And there's also the holy shit, what's going to happen to my baby? What's going to happen to me? Like, there's two sides to that coin. Yeah. And that's why I'm like, when people tell me that they're pregnant, I try not to tell them all these horror stories of things that I've heard that happen, because I'm like, I don't want to freak you out too much unless they bring it up. And then I'll go, okay, you're willing to talk about this, we can talk about this. But otherwise I'm like, nope, I'm not talking to you about this because I do not want to freak you out.
For me, it's more like when people say they're going to have a baby, and it's just like, yay, let's hope they don't grow up to be Ted Bundy.
I knew exactly I knew you were going to say that exactly. Let's hope they don't grow up to be a serial killer.
Because you've got no fucking control over that, seriously.
You do have a little bit of control.
Don't. Again, like Ted Bundy had pretty much a perfect life.
That is true.
And
that is true.
Even after he was convicted of all these murders, his mother still loved him and thought the world of him.
Yeah, but the thing is, was Ted Bundy psychologically all there?
Yes, he's really fucking smart.
Yeah, smart, but did he have any mental health conditions? Was he psychotic? Did he have schizophrenia?
No.
So he was
charming, absolute charming.
So a narcissist?
Probably a narcissist. Yeah. See, you can't know if you're going to give birth
sociopath.
But you don't know if you're going to give birth to a narcissist or a sociopath.
No, you don't. But there are, if you read the studies, there are definitely genetic and environmental conditions that predispose those sort of things.
Yeah, but people don't look into those, do they?
They do.
They don't. They do not go, what are the chances that my baby is going to grow up to be a sociopath?
Not as a regular human being. If you're a researcher, then yes. If you're a person who's just gotten pregnant, you're not going to think, oh, my baby's going to turn into a serial killer.
No. I'm saying more people need to consider this. Just as people consider physical disabilities, they need to consider how likely is it you're going to give birth to a narcissist and worse, a sociopath.
But you realise that if there's a genetic component, right, a narcissist doesn't care if they're going to give birth to another narcissist.
They're like, yes, you make a narcissist.
Exactly. But also, like, no one can predict what's going to happen 10, 20 years down the line to their baby. You might have a perfectly happy marriage and then 10 years down the line you and your partner get divorced and that causes trauma to the child, but you don't know that when you're pregnant.
No, of course not.
So you can't predict everything that's going to happen.
You could give everything the baby wants and the child wants and they grow up perfectly fine, no trauma, and they still kill you.
Exactly. So my point is, you don't fucking know, so who cares?
Because you should care.
Right, what can you do if you...
Not have babies. Have more cats. The end. Bye. See you later.
There's no sociopath gene. You can't have a genetic test and go, oh, sorry, I carried the gene for sociopath.
Don't risk it.
Don't have babies at all.
That's what I'm saying.
So that means the human population's going to die out.
Well, we're all going to die anyway.
If coronavirus doesn't kill us, then...
Don't have babies. Adopt more cats. Don't get dead.
Don't get dead. Okay, should we leave it there?
Yes.
Okay. Don't have babies and don't get dead.
Don't have babies, adopt more cats, don't get dead.
Yeah. Okay, we'll leave it there.
What do we say when we finish this?
I don't remember.
See you
next time.
That's the one.
Alright. Bye.